Welcome back, everybody, to the Southern Gateway Chorus live stream. My name is Zach Coleman. Before we go anywhere, let me start by giving a shout out to ICRC TV. They have done so many of our chorus recordings and are letting us use all of that footage for free. Check them out if you can, ICRC TV. They're amazing. So I've been taking this year a little differently with the stream, trying to find different perspectives. We started with somebody who had a little more experience on the women's side of barbershop. Last week we had our stage manager, and I'm thinking, what else can we do? How about an arranger? But then I said, no, let's double down, quite literally, and let's see if we can't get two arrangers. But let's go further than that and get the father-daughter arranging duo. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see how this goes. Clay and Melody Hines.
Hey, Zach, I'm the father in that duo, in case anyone has any questions.
Oh.
And I'm Clay.
Which one am I?
Well, he only named two family members, so
Okay.
I assume you're the one that's left.
I thought I was the father.
This is going to be fun.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Hello, I'm Melody.
Hi, Melody. All right. So, for those who might not be as familiar with all this whole barbershop thing, let's just go in order. Let's start with Melody. Melody, kind of give the crowd your background, what you do in your whole barbershop history and stuff.
Well, I started singing in Song of Atlanta, which my mother is the director of, when I was 14. I started kind of getting into arranging in high school, but it was more like I would write some stuff down and then Dad would be like, here's why this is bad, and then he would help me fix it. I guess that still happens, but it was more the first thing when I was in high school. I like to think it's gone the opposite direction since then. But I was singing in Song of Atlanta then. I sang in some quartets in high school, and continued that as best I could all throughout college. Currently I sing in the quartet Hot Pursuit, also better known as Cheese Pizza, and we are the current Harmony Incorporated International Quartet champions, since we didn't have a contest this past year, so it's still us. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of arranging, and I'm a certified BHS music judge. I don't know if I do other things. I still sing in Song of Atlanta, kind of, because we're on Zoom, and I just became a member of Parkside Melody.
Bravo.
So my barbershop life story in 12 seconds.
Yeah, good Lord. You do a lot of things. I wish I could say I did that many things. And then let's move on over. Yeah, let's move on over to Clay. Clay, tell us your extended history.
Well, sure. So, like Melody, I grew up around barbershop, and like Melody, my parents were really, really involved in barbershop from the time I was born. In fact, my grandfather, Melody's great-grandfather, was a barbershopper. So technically, she is a fourth-generation barbershopper. Like I said, I grew up around barbershop with my parents being really, really involved in it. I've never not known barbershop. You hear lots of folks that say, I wish I'd have found this sooner. And I'm fortunate that I can't say that, because I don't ever remember there not being barbershop. My dad was a course director. First course I sang with, I joined when I was 14, just like Melody did, the Detroit #1 course that's now on its second or third name since then.
Okay.
And moved around a bunch. Growing up, sang in a quartet with my dad right after college, and Tim Brooks and Tim's older brother Jed, called Atlanta Forum. My dad got transferred away, started singing in the quartet right after that. It was just a chapter quartet, and the four of us got together because we just loved going out after rehearsal and singing songs, and mainly just laughing and screwing around. And we laughed and screwed around for 25 years. That quartet was Fred, which was fortunate enough to win international in 1999. Since then, sung with A Mighty Wind, Category 4 now, again with my good friend Tim Brooks. Had the fortune to direct the Big Chicken Chorus for about 15 years, and went to international, I think, for 15 years in a row, and had lots of great times with Big Chicken and contest and the rest of the year, and have directed AVP now for Atlanta Vocal Project for about 15 years, and have had a wonderful time with that whole experience. I'm also a music judge. I am not the first woman judge in BHS, unlike my beautiful daughter. But I have been a music judge since before Melody was born, actually. Do a lot of vocal arranging. I love arranging, and in case you couldn't tell, I love music. I love that I get to participate with such great friends in choruses and around the world. And I love that I get to share with my family. Melody talks about me giving her just wonderfully negative feedback on her arrangements in high school. And I remember me being incredibly positive and nurturing, but that's Melody for you.
Oh.
No.
We all have our own
Not so
biases.
But it's wonderful just having a chance. I mean, as you know, Zach, just being able to share music with your family
Sure.
and barbershop. And barbershop is such an awesome community of folks that just great friends, and it's just a great thing to be a part of, and to be able to have your family in that is an extra special bonus.
Absolutely, man. Well, I must say you two have a lot longer a resume than I have. But we don't need to hear my resume. I will say down here in the chat, our friend Mason said he's super excited for this. And so am I. You guys ready to get into this first set?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yepperino. I don't remember what the rest was. Dang it! I should have written it down.
That's okay. So we decided to start off with a couple of Clay Hine arrangements that the Southern Gateway Chorus did, kind of as a set. So let's get into it and enjoy some Scarecrows.
Oh, there's a story we all know from long, long ago. Oh, once there was a wicked witch in the merry old land of Oz. And wickeder, wickeder, wickeder witch there never, ever, ever was. She filled the folks in Munchkin land with terror and with dread, till one fine day a house fell on her head, her pointy head, and the coroner pronounced her dead. And through the town the joyous news was spread. How it spread! Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, oh witch, that wicked old witch. Ding dong, ding dong, the wicked witch is dead, most sincerely dead. Wake up, you sleepy head, rub your eyes and get out of bed. Wake up, that wicked witch is dead. She's gone where the goblins go. Below, below, below. Go, let's open up and sing and ring, ding dong of a merry o. Sing it high and sing it low. Oh, let them know the wicked witch is dead. She's really dead. 'Cause one fine day from Kansas way, a cyclone brought a house that caught the wicked, wicked witch on her head, on her head. So let the joyous news be spread. She's gone where the goblins go. Below, let's open up and shout. Oh, let's shout.
Well, I hope you enjoyed all the scarecrows. That was Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, and If I Only Had a Brain. So let's get into some chaos real quick. So, Clay, those are your charts. Talk to us a bit about where the heck that came from, those two songs. Not The Wizard of Oz, we know that.
Sure. So the older, right, the older of the two charts is If I Only Had a Brain. And I actually originally did that one for Four Voices before. So they won in 2002, so it was 2001 when they did that the first time. And the idea for that song, well, I mean, obviously the song came from Wizard of Oz. The idea for that barbershop version, though, came from a recording that Harry Connick had. I forget which album it was on, but it was before that, obviously, where he did If I Only Had a Brain, and he did it. I mean, the version we're used to hearing is the scarecrow dancing around in the Yellow Brick Road and,
Right.
you know, up and bouncy. This was a ballady, very free and rubato kind of delivery.
Gorgeous.
And they heard that. It's an awesome recording. If you've not heard it, go look it up. But they said, we'd love to do a version of this. And I thought, well, that'd be cool. So I wrote the verse and did the chart for them. And one of the cool things, and the first time they did it was 2001 Nashville International. And it was neat hearing the audience response when no one was familiar at all with the song, with the chart, with that version of it. And they get to the end of the verse and get into I could while away, and you hear the audience go, "Oh yeah!" I'll never forget I was sitting next to or somewhere near Tony DeRosa, and he let out this big, "Oh wow!" when it got there. So it's neat seeing that kind of impact and the different take on it. And one of the really cool things from that was Roger Payne. So y'all might remember Roger as he was in Four Under Par, wildly talented musician. He was music category specialist, just an awesome person too. I think he was the low music score on it in International, and I called him up and just trying to get his feedback. And he said, I just wasn't sure about it seemed like it worked really well, but I wasn't sure kind of what the setting was, because we're used to the scarecrow bouncing around and singing it. And I sent him Harry Connick's version, and he said, okay, so Harry Connick, and it was just cool that Roger was looking for like a picture of the story. He's like, the Harry Connick version, if again, go listen to it. It's like a homeless kind of guy. I don't know what to look forward to in life sort of thing. But you listen to Four Voices do it, and they're like the young, stupid kind of ditzy guy who's in love for the first time sort of delivery. And it was just neat hearing, certainly a judge, but hearing somebody in the audience kind of looking for the story. And it was neat that Roger, when he first heard it, he's like, it seems like it works, and I wasn't sure why. So he had to think about it to kind of figure out why it worked. So it's a fun song. My course did that. It's always fun to see it. It's a fun song. If I Only Had a Brain is just a fun song. The story for Ding Dong the Witch is Dead is a little shorter.
Okay.
There's an old Ella Fitzgerald version of that's just great. I mean, I have a list. I have actually literally a list of lists of songs that I would love to do in any context. And that's where the different lists are, different contexts. But one of the ones that was on my list was that one. And Dave Callan called me up when he was singing with the Allies. So a little over 10 years ago, and said, would you do this? Would you do an arrangement of this Ella Fitzgerald version of Ding Dong the Witch is Dead for the Allies? And I'm like, dang it. Because now that he asked, I couldn't say no, because I want to save it for my quartet at some point. So I'm like, sure, I'd love to do it. And the Allies did a just terrific job on it. And it's just such a fun song. So I did that chart based on the Ella Fitzgerald version. And then I think I made a few changes after the Allies that my course did, which is the one that you guys ended up doing.
Gotcha.
Zach.
Okay.
It's just, the songs they're just fun songs.
Oh yeah.
They're just really fun songs, and they're so recognizable, and just neat songs to bring to an audience. And anywhere in here, Melody, is probably a good place for you to jump in and talk about how inspirational I've been in your life. So much so that you wore green glasses and have green hair to match Southern Gateway's green outfits, and you have a green Post-it. So go ahead.
This is the part where you talk about how inspirational I have been as a father. How did I do on the timing?
Great. I mean, I think that it was heartfelt. I mean, no one would think you're a robot or anything. And I know it's clearly that you love your dad and have just all the respect in the world for me with that delivery. So thank you for that, Melody.
Do you remember when everybody made fun of you for reading your script on the AIC show in Salt Lake City?
I don't remember everybody making fun of me. Mom
Oh.
said she liked it. I mean, did everybody else
Do you
make fun of
believe
me?
everything mom says to you?
I try to, except the things I don't like.
Uh,
Okay, so you mentioned throughout that whole story, Clay, that you were talking with one of the judges who had judged another quartet singing your chart. I have been the quartet who's been talked about how they sang something on a stage, but I've not yet been the guy who heard about somebody else singing their song. You've done both of those things, being an international champ and also having done all these arrangements. Can you just tell me real quick the difference in the way you take it when it's your arrangement versus when it's your quartet?
Oh, well, I'm not sure it is different. I mean, I have more, just different insight, I guess. I mean, when it's my quartet, I mean, more recently, if it's my quartet, it's, Tim Brooks has been the lead. So if there's anything people don't like, I always just put that on Tim and say that was Tim's fault. If more recently, also on the positive side, it's an arrangement. I mean, Melody talked about running ideas or running charts by me. And she's probably the one I run stuff by more than anything. So
Sure.
if people don't like it, I'll usually say, yeah, Melody
Yeah.
changed that. I had it a different
her fault.
way at first. So that's
Oh.
the difference. Yeah, that's the difference. That's the
I'm
difference.
aware that was happening.
The difference. No, it's just different. Different. It is different, but it's. There are times when, if it's feedback about an arrangement, I mean, we try to. I think as judges, I'm going to jump to a slightly different perspective on that question. Try to give feedback based on the performance and not necessarily on the mechanics that went into it, because as an audience member or a judge, you're not really aware of all the mechanics that went into it. So you want to talk about how the performance impressed you or didn't impress you, and not necessarily get into
Sure.
I didn't like your performance because of the arrangement. I mean, it's hard to know that on a first blush.
Sure,
or I liked
sure.
it because of the arrangement, which is a nice comment. But at the end of the day, it's the performer that has to bring the music to life.
Right, and that can be said by any quartet or chorus person who's ever gotten an arrangement and been like, here's the arrangement, let's change this, let's change this, let's change this. It's all about the interpretation of it, yeah?
Yeah. And
I
I
said-
like
I
to,
said interpretation,
I mean,
I'm
when I do a
smart.
chart for folks, when I do an arrangement for folks, I'll usually send a file where I talk through the song, because I want people to, I mean, it's hard to put everything on the paper as you envision it. So I talk through how I envision it. And a lot of times I'll even get into, not that I'm not, I mean, my wife is the choreographer in the family,
Sure.
so I'm not going to even pretend to get into any of that. But I will sometimes say, visually, this is what I envision happening. You don't have to do this, but just so you get the full picture of how I envision this story unfolding. So I'll try to communicate as much as I can, just because there might be things that I have in the chart that are hard to appreciate from a delivery and performance standpoint without being explained. And it's like for people to get the full picture. And if they don't like my vision, that's fine. They can change it. I just want to make sure they understand where it's coming from.
Sure, right on. Well, that was all of the insight that I've ever wanted about arranging, and I can't wait to start doing it more. Do I get to be a
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
Do I get to be a
it's
Hine
fun.
and run stuff by you guys?
The
I would love to see literally anything that you arrange at any point in
Okay.
time.
I think
I
I,
mean,
sent
we
you
can
the
make
only thing I
that like the
arranged.
next show. We could evaluate one of your charts. That'd be great.
I'll tell you what, once I have that done and recorded, I'll bring it on the show and bring you guys back. You heard it here first, folks.
Awesome.
All right, so you guys ready to head on to the next one?
Sure.
Alrighty.
Yep.
Let us-
No, buddy boy.
That's going to continue to happen. Okay, so this next one, we're going to transition a bit into the one that Melody got for us. There's a pretty decent story that went along with how this chart happened. And just so everyone knows, Melody is a hero. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but please enjoy Men in Tights.
Always on guard, defending
call. Count off now.
I'm Baldwin, quick and keen.
I'm Leonard. I'm tough and mean.
I'm Keith. I'm neat and clean. Oh, crap. What'd I get on me now?
I'm Marvin, long and lean. I'm on Weight Watchers.
I'm Donald, and I am dangerous, without a doubt.
Wow! For up!
I'm Darren, good with arrow.
Ow! Yeah! I'm Winston, and I have a lot of experience fighting evil deeds. I spent 6 months in Dover fighting evil, a year in Stratford, 3 months in Canterbury, 4 months in Manchester. Oh, and I am Little John, hale and hearty.
I'm Friar Tuck. Where's the party?
We're men in tights. We rob from the rich and give to the poor. That's right. We may look like sissies, but watch what you say or else we'll put out your lights. We're men in tights. Always on guard, defending the people's rights. We're men, manly men. We're men in tights. Yes, we roam around the forest looking for fights. We're men in tights. We rob from the rich and give to the poor. That's right. We may look like pansies, but don't get us wrong or else we'll put out your lights. We're men in tights. Tights. Always on guard, defending the people's rights. When you're in a fix, just call for the men in tights. Men in tights.
And that was Men in Tights, as arranged by Melody Hines. Now, before we get too far into this chart, I have to give my deepest gratitude to Melody in general, just for a quick second. So, Melody, for a while, was the director for the Young Women's Chorus at the Greater Cincinnati Harmony Festival that turned into the Greater Cincinnati Harmony Camp. That was founded by a team including my father, and he was the music chair for years and years of that. There was 1 year, the year after he stepped down, that I ended up taking the role of music chair for that. And for a long time, we had a different director. And it was, Melody, help me out, 3-4 days before the camp? Something like that?
Oh, yeah. I think you kind of gave me a warning sign a week before, and then the real update, like, I think it was 3 days.
Yeah, so I had gotten an email from that director who said, I'm so sorry, my husband is like crazy sick and I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. And I said, and I responded, I was like, oh, that's totally fine, you need to take care of yourself. And then I hit send and I went, ah! And I immediately got a hold of the admin chair for that year and I said, hey, this is happening. And she was like, oh no, what do we do? And I said, hold on. Melody has been coming up to counselor for us for years now. She's already going to be there. I bet she can take this. And so I got a hold of Melody, and she was like, and I'm pretty sure your response was, okay, because that's what your response is to most things. And and she did, and she took it like a champ. And I got to say, Clay, she killed it. I mean, that's why she kept getting brought back. That was an amazing year. I actually want to show you something. For a while, she was a counselor, and then she was music team. She was part of the teaching quartet for the girls, and then she was the director. But while she was music team, she actually did this thing. We have a clip of it. Check this out, guys.
'Cause just a farmer's hand on a redneck man, that's what makes my heart sing. 'Cause just a farmer's hand on a redneck man, that's what makes my heart sing.
So yeah, you know, she's helped us out a bit. And we love
Wow, I just love that camp so much.
And that camp
I
loves
forgot
you.
about the farmer year until this moment.
Yeah. What do you think, Clay? Did we embarrass her good enough?
This is great because I have it up on YouTube at the same time, so now I'm seeing that clip of me replayed like 6 times in a row instead of like 3 times in a row.
I love it.
So
Yeah,
Holy
so
cow.
let's back up
yeah.
then. So we have a lot of things to talk about. So Melody, you arranged Men in Tights for us. That song was your arrangement, and there's a story to that one. Go ahead and get into that real quick.
Yeah, so it's funny because I went and looked up the text conversation with me and Sai of where that chart came from, like probably an hour ago, because I remembered it vaguely and I wanted to make sure I was remembering it correctly, and I did, which is first of all uncommon. But the story is basically that at that time when Sai texted me and asked me if I could do a chart, I think I was like, I don't know, I had like a month or 2 of arrangements that needed to get done just in terms of like how much time I needed to complete them.
Sure.
And he asked about it and I was like, oh, I think I can get it done in like a month and a half or a couple months. We could say this date tentatively. And then he was like, what if we ask for a rush order? And I was like, okay, how rushed? And he was like, well, we want to sing in our spring show in like a month. And I was like, when do you need it? If you need to learn it before your spring show then. And he was like, now? I was like, all right, fine. So because as previously said, I can only respond to requests for my assistance, but okay, which is very true. I have a very hard time saying no to arrangements, which is fine. But so I was like, I can probably fit it in. Let me just see. And I looked at the song and listened to it a couple of times and looked at the sheet music, and it shops really, really well. So I think I finished it in like 3 days and sent it off or something like that. It was definitely within the week. I remember that specifically. Yeah, and I love the way it turned out. So
Yeah, it was great.
Sometimes I get nervous about quick arrangements like that because I don't want to, have any random notes or rest or whatever in the wrong place. But it turned out really well, and y'all killed it exactly as I envisioned it that quick way.
Yay.
Sai also was like, I think the very end of that conversation was like, something also Paul Coleman in tights, and I was like, well, I have to help.
That's right.
Justice.
At the top of the page, underneath the title, what did it say? It said, arranged for the Southern Gateway Chorus, but more specifically for Paul Coleman's calves in tights. That's exactly what it said. I forgot
that I did that.
That's hilarious. I forgot about that. That's
It's good to have it's good to have a motivation. It's good to have a vision.
It was so
you can
great.
see that. I mean, the first time I saw it, I knew that's what Melody was going for.
Was my dad in tights?
You could tell that drives the entertainment.
So,
Yeah,
Clay,
I mean, I love
how
Paul.
quick was
I
your
hyped
quickest
about that.
arrangement?
Oh wow!
Did she get you? Did she get you?
So this is a good story. So this is a good story. So I have.
Oh, I'm so excited.
No, this was so I think the longest it ever took me to do a chart was a year and a half maybe, and that could have been Sweet Adeline that Fred did, because it started off with a totally different concept than what we ended up with. The quickest, or one of the quickest, was a chart I did a long time ago, probably 30 years ago, of Old Folks at Home, way down upon the Swanee River. So I had an idea for a ballad version of that. And sometimes the Melody knows what I mean when I say this, because it probably happens to her and she's seen it happen to me. You get a song in your head and it just sticks there, and it's hard for you to focus on much else. So even though you're having other conversations, what you're really doing is having another conversation in some background level, and what you're actually doing is thinking about this song that's stuck in your head. So Becky and I think we were dating, so it may have been more than that, more than 30 years ago. We were going out to dinner with a friend of hers, and I'd started thinking about this song like in the afternoon at work or something like that. And it was just stuck in my head and kind of working through it in my head. I mean, sometimes I'll work through something on a keyboard. Sometimes it's just a finale. Sometimes it's in the car while I'm driving with a keyboard. Lots of different ways. This one was in my head the whole time we were at dinner. So like on the way home from dinner, Becky was sort of mad because I was clearly distracted the whole time. But I think by the time I went to bed, I had it written down. So that was probably 6 or 7 hours. Now, they're not usually from start to finish 6 or 7 hours, but Sometimes when you have such a clear idea and you get so excited about it, and you need to get it down on paper. I mean, that's like a huge thing, probably for you too, Melody, when you get it down on paper and it's done and you've checked it and you have all the notation right, because then that's when you can kind of get it out of your head and move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
how
absolutely.
I was at Miley.
I think my quickest one was actually not Men in Tights. My quickest one was what is that song from Waitress? Dun, 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 dun. She Used to Be Mine. There was for a quartet that's no longer together, but I had it in my head for so long and I never had time to like sit down and do it. She was just always in my head. And one night I like couldn't fall asleep because it was just stuck in my head. So I was like, well, I guess I have to arrange it now. So I started and finished it in 4 hours and then went to bed at like 4 a.m. But I did it in 4 hours. Like that was my quickest arrangement.
That's weird because my fastest was 3 hours. 3 hours and 59 minutes is my.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, so it was.
Let's
now that I
race.
think about it. What did you say? 4 hours?
Race.
Yes?
Let's race right now.
Right now. What are we going to arrange? Zach should say words, and we should both write a tag, and see who's quickest and whose tag is better.
Oh no! I don't have finale on this computer.
And if we do that, Melody, before we finish, can I just send it to you and you can tell me if it's good or not, just so I can get some quick feedback?
Yes, but I will click on the email and then I will leave it unread and I will not respond as per the last 3 ones that you sent me.
Right. I was going to bring that up too.
And this is what happens when you get arrangers in the same room.
I wrote specifically for you. It was a song that I wrote, and it just expressed what an incredible person you are and what a great daughter you are, and just everything that I love about you. And I put that in a song. Apparently, are you looking it up now?
Yeah. Let's see. This one says
it's the one called Rock and Roll Fantasy.
That's the one I was gonna click on.
Title's a little misleading.
Bravo, you did it. The only other one that would have been better would have been Rock
People
and
have
Roll
referred to
Nerd
me
by
in
Tim
that way
Minchin.
before.
Right.
Okay. All right. You guys ready to transition?
Wow. That's a little personal.
Yapperino, buddy boy.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yapperino, buddy boy.
All right, this next one, we're going to hop back to Clay's side of the stuff. This was an arrangement that we took to contest for a number of years. And I think this is a big arrangement. This has gone on albums of pretty big barbershoppers, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So here is Clay Hines, 5'2". and that was 5'2", as arranged by Clay Hines. Now, Clay, before we go too far, that arrangement has made its rounds. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of like high-level people have done that, right? Can you just talk about that for a second?
Well, so the idea
high-level groups, and then also A Mighty Wind.
Oh, boom! That's not fair at all. The idea for that song came from not Melody. The idea for that song came from I think it was Rick Spencer in Redline when he was singing with them with Chris Vaughn, Kevin Stinson, and Tim McCormick. Yeah. And I mean, we all know 5'2", old barbershop song. My dad used to he had a neat thing on the piano where he'd play, one person would play the melody to 5'2", and the other person would just play chords. So I mean, I have great memories of that song from sitting at the piano doing a duet with my dad for that tune. But they were looking for something, a cool barbershop-y version of 5'2". So I wrote that little intro, wrote a verse, felt like it would work well to. It's a nice kind of snappy tempo melody. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a cat on your lap right now.
What?
Careful. But it's just a neat little fun up-tempo tune. Kind of kept that same tempo in the middle, same feel, but with the minor-y kind of thing. Came out of that accelerando, picking it up into the end. Big long. Chris Vaughn was the lead of Redline, so Chris is the king of big, high, long strings. So put him on a big, high, long string at the end, and so they did it. Well, actually, I did it for them. I heard them sing it at a midwinter in Long Beach. Mel, that's when you and me went, because Cam had pneumonia and couldn't go at the last minute, which stunk. But I heard them sing it outside the auditorium. They just mostly learned it and wanted to sing it for me. And as happens so often when I arrange songs for quartets, they broke up and never sang it. So I'd like to think it wasn't my song that caused them to break up, but who knows? But the result was, like you said, lots of other groups have done it, including State Line Grocery did it in their last contest, and then A Mighty Wind did it a couple times. And when A Mighty Wind did it, I think we did it a couple times, and I thought, wow, this is a vocal workout. This is a hard song. I don't want to arrange songs like this anymore for my quartets and have to sing them. So I did learn a lot from that song, and what I mainly learned was I don't like singing songs that require that much vocal stamina.
Sure.
All of the Mighty Wind and Category 4 songs since then have been easier.
A little more mellow.
But it's a fun song. It's a real fun song.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it when we did it. This was one of my favorites for a long time. Jeff, take note. So what I want to hear is Melody. I have to remember which side. Melody critique that song. Ready, go.
Oh, well, everything was acceptable except for the baritone part, which is the worst thing I've ever read in my life in terms of voice leading and also just general arranging ability.
As the guy who sang baritone on that one, I fully agree.
So thank you. My I have a follow-up question for this particular arrangement. Is this one of those where you took an Ambien and then started arranging after the Ambien and then fell asleep with your face on the keyboard?
Face on the keyboard. I don't remember that part, but then again, it was late at night, and as you mentioned, I was drugged, so who knows?
Oh my God.
There have been times. Now, I'll say this, but I'll caveat it with, I've talked to other arrangers who will say the same thing. It's late at night, you're trying to get through a song, and you're on a roll. You might be struggling with something, but you want to make sure you kind of wrap it up as much as you can. Maybe you've had a couple drinks, getting late, and you're tired, and it gets to the point where you're not done with the entire song, but you're done with the arranging, and you know that when you're done for the evening, when you're like, everything I'm putting into finale right now sucks. I'm gonna just leave this, come back to it tomorrow, and probably rewrite the last 2 pages. And you get up the next morning and look at it and go, that's actually pretty good. So
Sure.
I know for a fact that David Wright has shared with me that experience has happened many, many times with him also.
What? David Wright has a couple of drinks while he arranges?
Okay. Anyway, so let's do a little mini kind of one-shot masterclass here. From each of you individually, you can pick who goes first. What's like the most important thing the biggest piece of advice you could give somebody who wants to be an arranger or start arranging or doing that kind of thing? What you got? And go.
Well, so I guess I've started, I don't know, looking over a lot of charts from my friends that are trying to get into arranging recently, and I love doing that kind of a thing. And all of these friends that are doing that seem to have a lot of general knowledge about arranging, and they have experience doing it, and they have like taken some kind of music theory classes or some kind of arranging related classes, so they have the ideas, but they just haven't had like the practice and the feedback back and forth kind of a thing. So to me, at least from my experience with how I learned how to arrange and for what I've seen from other people, it seems like the best way to really start getting good at arranging is to just do it and get feedback from people as much as possible. And I mean, it helps to have groups actually sing your songs too, whether you're in the group or whether you're like asking some other friend groups to sing it. But just doing it more and having other eyes get on it is like the most important thing from my perspective.
Killer. Clay, what about you,
Right,
man?
so
What do you got?
I'll give a three-part answer. First, if you're new to barbershop, and by new I mean if you've not been engrossed in it for years and years and years, listen to barbershop. There are definitely some things specific to barbershop that are actually kind of hard to note and to quantify, and they're things you can really only appreciate best just from years and years of lots of listening experience. And we found that we've got some great new folks that are arrangers, up and coming arrangers, who might not have years and years and years of experience with barbershop. And there's just some real barbershoppy things, again, that are hard to quantify unless you just have that sound in your head for years. So listen to a lot of barbershop. It's helpful to understand the theory. So that's coming from, I'm a slightly biased perspective because I'm an engineer by training. So I love music theory. Now, Melody's not an engineer by training, but she also loves music theory. So
That's
I think it's, there you go. It helps to understand the theory, because then as you're looking through things, mistakes or things that aren't working are easier to figure out if you understand the theory. And the third thing is just the biggest thing is exactly what Melody said. Do a lot of arranging. It's awesome if you have a group to arrange for. I mean, Melody been very lucky with Song of Atlanta and Hot Pursuit to have built-in groups to arrange for. I was very lucky with Atlanta Forum when I first started getting real active in quartetting, and when I was the Big Chicken Chorus as the assistant director with my dad directing, and then when I became the director, it never occurred to me how wonderfully blessed I was to have groups that would just sing whatever I put on paper, whether it was good or not. But you learn a lot from that, and you get to the point. If y'all haven't watched Hot Pursuit's videos from when they won Harmony Inc. A year and a half ago, I definitely would suggest watching them because they're phenomenal. 3 of those charts are melodies, and I'll have to say the best 3 of the 4 are melodies. I mean, they're just wonderful charts. Melody mentioned running stuff by me. I think so. Melody's done great barbershop stuff. I mean, it's especially the Hot Pursuit stuff. It just fits. That's the magic, is fitting a chart to a performer. And kind of, Melody will say the same thing, I'm sure, when you arrange for a specific group, you listen to recordings of them, get their sound in your head, and then when it's less about the mechanics of arranging. I said it's good to know the mechanics, but when you arrange for a performance, and you're kind of documenting the performance you're picturing in your head. And if you listen to these Hot Pursuit charts, you'll get an appreciation for that, because everything just fits. It's hard to imagine it fitting any better. Melody had asked me 2 or 3 years ago to look at one of her charts, and it was one of the vocal jazz charts that Melody is especially great at. And I gave her I said, here's some cool stuff. Here's some stuff I would do differently, but my biggest piece of advice is not listening to me, because when it gets to the point where you're on a roll, sometimes you're on a roll because the stuff that you do is uniquely cool, and it's good to solicit other people's opinions. It's also good to know when your stuff is uniquely cool and you've got a vision for it, and you think what you put down there is really good, and have someone run with it. And there have been several charts of melodies when I heard stuff in a finale playback and thought, I don't know. And then when I heard it done live, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So again, just doing, and that all comes from just doing it, and recognizing what you can bring to a song.
You gonna be that nice to me when I send you my chart?
Oh,
Well, we'll Who are you talking to?
Thanks. Either of you? I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
It's always,
Well,
as Melody
say-
said, it's always fun to hear. It's always fun to hear people's stuff, especially when it's, there are people that bring a different perspective to a song
Sure.
or something you hadn't necessarily thought of.
Trust me, mine's a little bit of a different
when
perspective.
I started getting into right. When I started getting into arranging this stuff, I mean, I had to have Dad look at my stuff every single time, and I still do because I want other people to see it before I send it out. But I found now, I guess I didn't realize this when I was just doing my own arranging, but now that I'm talking to other people about their arrangements more often, I've like realized all of the like specific things that I did learn from you. Not that I was like, oh, I didn't learn anything, but like I know specifically what they are now. Like I can pinpoint the things that you used to talk about. Cause like I remember a really specific time. I don't remember what song it was. No, wait. It was Dream a Little Dream of Me when you were starting to do that for OC Times and you were listening to a bunch of their recordings in the kitchen and you were like, or I was asking you about what you were doing, I think, and you were like, oh, well, I'm trying to figure out where their best like places, and I noticed that they like sing a little bit better in a little like higher part of their range, not necessarily like right in the most comfortable middle part and stuff like that. And I remember like now that I'm telling other people things that they need to do, like listen for things like that to other people's arrangements, or like pay attention to like the singability of the chart, like like part to part, is just like all stuff that we talked about for the last like decade. So it's been just more interesting because now I have a list of things that I tell people and things that I look for in their arrangements, but they're all patented Clay Hines strategies.
Patented.
Well,
Oh dear.
I'd like to think I invented them. I've just taken advantage of them. It is interesting though. I mean, you do listen for even that. I mean, I've still learned lots of stuff about hopefully how to do better charts and better visions of re-envisioning a song. But you listen for where individuals, or even for a chorus, listen for where a voice part has character in their voice. And lots of great singers have places where they're still pretty good, but they don't have the character and the unique personality that they might bring in other parts of their range or in different kinds of songs and things like that. One thing that stuck in my head always, I did a few charts for Windsor, Ashley and Jenny's Sweetheart Quartet that was second once or twice.
Yeah. I think
one
time.
But listening, and Debbie had asked me to do some stuff for them, which is great because they're such great singers, and it was fun doing that. But listening to them is the only time I've gone through that process and tried to get a performer's individual voices and their sound in my head and think, where does this performer sing the best? Ashley's the only voice I think I can remember ever listening to where I thought, she is unbelievably amazing with lots of character in her entire range.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a spot where you go, well, right there she was only good. I mean, it's amazing. She is seamless from top to bottom in terms of the character she brings to what she does.
Alrighty. Well, I gotta say I had a blast having you guys on. You're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there? I know.
Thanks,
I think
Zach.
our,
This is really fun.
Zachary?
Of course, we'll do it again at some point in time. Mayhem's good, right? Real quick before we go, is there anything that either of you two want to mention? And no order, so Mayhem, go.
I'll do just a quick plug. My chorus, Atlanta Vocal Project. Remember that name because it's our website, www.atlantivocalproject.com. Is
Alien
doing sort
versus
of
Predator.
exactly doing a unique take on Singing Valentines this year, where it's a virtual singing Valentine that we're offering, and you have the opportunity as the person ordering it for your significant other to customize it, either just by sending us pictures, or you actually all the way up through you singing along or singing a song, and we edit it in. So if you've seen how any of these virtual audio recordings work, you get a chance to be a part of that, and you can kind of hear a sample and go to our website and there's a lot more information. But it's just kind of a unique twist on Singing Valentines that we're hoping people enjoy.
And I just wanted to say, all you have to remember is you can always get more toast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay. Thank you both very much. As Melody said, feel free to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the Southern Gateway Chorus YouTube channel. Thank you both for being here. My name is Zach Coleman, and on behalf of the Southern Gateway Chorus, hope you all have a great week.
May the road rise.